Should I do an intro? I've been thinking of that one. Should I do an intro to my I don't know what to call it. I'm gonna have to see my barber soon. Whew, it's getting rough. Man. Anyway, I've been super busy though. Man, it's been really crazy busy, but it's good though, because I got a chance to spend some time with the family. Got a, few clients I had to take care of and shoot over the weekend. Did a maternity shoot that was really awesome. I really enjoyed this maternity shoot. I was thinking about recording it, but since it's my client, I figured, nah, don't do that. I kind of have this thing right now where, all my client stuff is directly for them, and what they pay me for is to do their shoot and their images and get their images, and not from me to be trying to be all personal about it. But anyway, it's personal for my clients. But I haven't got a chance to really be creative on my own. So today, I was just going through my images from a studio shoot I done earlier this year with the beautiful model from Chicago, Aliana. And I figured we'll just edit that image today. And it's not a tutorial because I'm not no teacher, so I'm not going to be saying that this is what you do to edit an image. You edit your own style. I'm just kind of showing you my style and what I do when I edit. So if you're interested in that, stick with me real quick and let's get to editing. But the first thing I like to do is I like to white balance. So since I have a white backdrop, which right now is just gray because just how I shoot, I balance off this white gray backdrop to give me my color balance. And I like that. Sometimes if I can't find nothing that's a neutral gray or something to do a backdrop, a white balance on, I normally look at her skin texture and I balance off that. And that's kind of more of what I do. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. But this is just what I do. I think the image may be a little bit dark, but I don't like to play with the exposure and the contrast as of yet. I like to put them like very, very at the end. Now it depends like on everybody. It's just my style, but how I control my contrast, because what I like to do is I like to add contrast back into my image. How I like to do that is I like to do the highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. That's just how I do my contrast. So the first thing I like to do is I like to bring up my shadows, and bringing it up my shadows there, it kind of lets me take away some of the darker areas in the image, just not the blacks, but the little bit of darker areas in the image, just kind of even the light for me. I kind of always like to even the light, so I use my highlights and my shadows to even the light. So I kind of even the light there, and then I punch in with more of the contrast with my white and blacks. So that way I'm getting only the darker images and the lighter part of the image to highlight. And as you see, I'm kind of always staying in a rule of 5 for some reason or another. It's just my OCD kicking in. I'm making sure that everything stays in there. So 10 is good for me. That's just how I originally just start my image. And then I go with the texture, add a little bit more texture so I can give a little bit more detail because she has beautiful hair. I don't play with the colors yet because I like to kind of use that in my, what I call it, the creative area. But I normally just don't mess with the colors yet. So then I still try to control my highlights and shadows. So I want to bring more blacks in. So I use my adjust the slider for my shadows here. And I bring it up to about 25, just kind of get, and as you see, I pushed it all the way to the end. So I'm only dealing with the darkest parts of my image. And here is where I kind of get a little creative. I like to take my highlights and I like to bump my hue to about 230, around there, kind of giving me a nice deep rich blue in my highlights. I like to bring the saturation up to about 10. And this is just where I kind of use my luminosity, just visual. I'm looking visually at my luminosity just to see right where I'm gonna start clipping on my highlights. And I like to try to keep it there, just around right there. Now, as a film photographer, I like the softness and the colors of film. So I try to dabble in between them two worlds, the digital and the film. So moving on, I like to go down here and in the sharpness section. Anyway, the sharpness area. So what I've learned is a little trick here is I take my alt and then I go to my mask, and this is going to show me where the sharpness is on the image. And I'm trying to get the background to be where it's not sharp is black. All right, so just FYI. And whereas white is where it still has the sharpness and detail. So I like to try to pull that back where my background is kind of not sharp. Get it to about 65. Like I said, I like to kind of play in that. And because I'm still wanting to enjoy that film look a little bit, I take my luminosity and the noise reduction, and I like to bump it to about 10. I like to take the details on that to about 25. And down here in the color part, I like to bump it around about 25. And I like to take the colors and I like to bump them up to about 50. All right, cool. So now, as you see, it's a little bit soft, but it still has the sharpness. So I'm dabbling in between both worlds. Now, this is where I like to be creative at. And this tool that Lightroom added into Lightroom, Adobe added into Lightroom, is pretty cool. And this is where you can really get creative with it. And this is where your creative style can just come out. I mean, it's endless of what you can do with these tools here, but we're gonna get into the tools here. And this tool here is kind of where like masking, and it does this AI technology. I don't know all the details and the wizardry with this, but the first thing I like to do is I like to go to my subject, have it select my subject for me, because I still want to play with my subject's contrast. And I like to go here in my subject. Now that I got my subject in there, I like to play with the contrast of my subject. So I like to bump up the shadows again because I want her to stand off. I like to bump up the shadows again and control some of the highlights. I don't want to blow out the highlights on her. Bring that down to 20. And like I said, my OCD, I'm sorry, y'all. And then I like to bring up some highlights on her whites. So I'm really giving the whites a little bit of more punch to her. So I'm giving more contrast to her. So that way she kind of pop off the background. And the little trick that I love that Lightroom does is that you can go back to this mask, hit here, duplicate, and reverse mask. And now what it does, it has your background. Now for my background, I like to do the opposite of, I like to bring down the shadows. on my background. I like to bring it down. And because I have a little spot right here behind her from a spotlight that I use, I'm gonna bring that up with the highlights. So about 20. And like I said, I'm doing the opposite. And I don't play with the whites and blacks. Right here is where I kind of want to soften the background. So I take the texture and I bring it down to about 20. I bring the clarity down to around about 15. And then I take the sharpness and I bump it all the way down to about 50. Right or wrong, I don't know, but it looks good to me. I like that bluish, yellowish tint to it. It's kind of a hybrid somewhere in there. So I kind of want to have it a little bit of yellow in the shadows. So I'm just gonna kind of go to the yellows a little bit, kind of bring it over in my shadows, just kind of let it spill over a little bit. And this is all creative, y'all. Y'all don't have to have it that way. Now, I think it's a little too much, so I'm gonna bring it down to about 5. That's cool with me. But this is just all creative. This is just all creative. And y'all probably saw a couple of images where her heels were a different color. I kind of did that in Photoshop, but if you go check out my blog at nike.com/journals and look at my latest journal, you'll have this information in here with Aliana and some of the things I've done and some more shots I've done with her. So I say go check that out. Anyway, so let's get back to the editing again. Let's see if we can do something with the shoes in Lightroom. All right, so y'all, I do not know how this is gonna come out, but we're gonna see how we can play with this a little bit. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my radius tool and I'm gonna just go over her ankles right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to control it where it only is not getting her skin tone. It's just only getting the shoe. All right. And I'm gonna take down the feathering. And this is why I say I like this tool, because now I'm gonna go back to the mask, hit these 3 dots, and I'm gonna go to this tool here, and I am going to go to color. Now, what it's gonna do now is wherever this mask is, it's gonna find the color that I'm asking it to look for, and hopefully it picks it. It didn't pick it. Oh man. So let's go back. Let's delete that. Like I said, I'm playing with it, y'all. So go back to here again. Let's do this. Let's see. Let's add the subject. That way it only just pulled my subject into focus. Boom. Now it only has my subject. Let's go back again. And let's go do the color. I'm playing with it, y'all. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Okay. Fingers crossed. Yes. It only picked the shoes. Now I did pick a little bit of her socks, so maybe I can work that out a little later. But I'm gonna see if I can refine this by dialing it back a little bit. All right, so now this is where we be creative. Okay, so let's take this hue and play with it. See if we can change the color of the shoes. Green? Nah, let's not go green. Let's go purple. Let's go a little bit more. Haha. There we go, y'all. There we go. There we go. Looking good. I didn't think it was gonna work, but it worked. And I'm telling you, y'all should play with it a little more. If y'all haven't, just play with it. It ain't gonna, hurt anything. Everything is non-destructible. So I can have fun with this over here. And anyway, so it's enough for me today. I hope y'all like this little editing thing I just did here. I'm not calling it a vlog, or I'm not calling it a tutorial. So just hanging out with me and being creative, y'all. So until the next one, peace.